Moira. Looks like she's finally made it as one of the best support picks in a season, regardless of higher levels of play or lower levels of play. She's definitely one of the best supports to play, and that's what I'm going to talk about today, and then why I think she does need a nerf. Hi everybody, my name is Abby. Welcome to the video. Before we jump into the topic, have a quick look at this over here. More than half of you are coming back to watch the videos, but not all of you are subscribed. Hey guys, if you're coming back to watch the videos, you enjoy the rants, the discussions, the guides, everything Overwatch related is on this channel, and I do my best to upload almost every day or every other day. So if you want a channel that's almost always here for you, then feel free to subscribe. And I don't know, if you don't, then it's okay, man. The video is free and this channel is free. You're not paying anything for it. So thanks. Anyways, let's get started with the video. So Moira, what happened? Why is Moira one of the best supports to play right now? Why is Moira definitely very strong? That's something that we're going to discuss today. And in order to be able to do that, I need to bring you to the attention. I need to bring your attention towards the patch notes of actually what Moira got in terms of the balance changes when season 9 started. So everybody got projectile size increases and things like that. And you know, an argument could be made that Moira didn't actually need it. Actually, you know what? We don't need to make an argument. Moira actually didn't need it. Anyways, on your screen right now are the patch notes. Have a quick look at this. Moira's HP went up from 200 to 250. Her biotic grasp secondary fire damage increased from 50 to 65. So she actually even got a damage buff with it. Then her secondary fire target acquisition radius has been increased from 0.6 to 0.7. It looks really small from here, but when you actually see it in game, it's a considerable difference on, you know, the lock-on of the beam itself. I'm just going to call it the beam and not the suck, because I really don't know what to refer to her biotic grasp over here other than the name itself, which is a mouthful. But the beam itself locks on very easily right now. You could be looking away a considerable amount from the target and you're still going to suck them off, which is really weird when you're trying to win the game. Okay. Jokes aside, I really wanted to slide that one in. You see what I did there? Okay, jokes aside. So, I definitely think, other than the HP change, you know, if I'm being 100% honest with you, I don't think Moira needed the damage increase, nor did she need the target acquisition increase. And you know what the funny thing is? Even if the biotic grasp in general was never buffed, here's the funny part, she would actually still be really strong right now. Now, you know, the casual viewer, somebody who doesn't necessarily understand competitive Overwatch, is looking at the screen, looking at me, listening to my voice. They're like, you idiot, what are you talking about? Let this idiot explain the game to you. The reason Moira is a great pick right now is because the name of the game is mostly dive meta, right? A lot of dive-based characters are being played. So what does that mean? That means the faster-paced characters are being played. We have characters like Doomfist, D.Va, Winston, and Wrecking Ball running all over the map. Alongside them are the damage heroes from the dive role. We have characters like Echo, Genji, Sojourn, Tracer, and Sombra being played almost everywhere. And they're very powerful right now, right? So what does this mean for the support role? The support role wants to either complement these dive heroes, or you want to also play something that's fast and can run around. Now, Moira actually brings a lot to the table to a dive comp. She's actually a pretty solid pick, other than Kiriko or Lucio, or sometimes Zenyatta, depending on the situation and where you're playing, depend on the map, of course, that you can flex him into. Now, Moira is a great pick. She's a very solid pick, and her kit is designed in such a way that she's kind of a generalist hero, where you can kind of play her in any comp and you'll be fine. Of course, in some scenarios, there might be a better pick for sure, but there's nothing wrong with one-tricking her this season. She has been kind of a very good support for metal rank play, but now she's beginning to slide in to the DMs of the higher levels of play as well. Again, so why is that? Like I explained before, she's very fast, you know, she's very consistent at everything she wants to do. She doesn't necessarily bring any utility, quote unquote, because like she just primarily heals and she can do a lot of healing if she combos it with the biotic orb healing amp, or if she uses the damage orb from the biotic orb, then obviously she's going to do a decent amount of burst damage onto her target. So she works really well with dive comps, being able to do the 3-2-1 dive onto a target, do some high burst damage, or like throw a healing orb towards your team and go in with them, delete a target and just tear that enemy team apart. Or Moira is also really good for if you are getting 3-2-1 dived upon, then Moira herself can just use her fade, and the fade takes her a very, very considerable amount of distance away from the initial dive, and she's able to survive and continue doing her job once her team regroups with her. So these are some of the reasons that Moira is really strong. Moira has been, like, fundamentally speaking, by far the easiest character to play in Overwatch, which is why whenever she becomes meta, and this is usually from support players themselves, right? I play all three roles, so I will say that support players themselves don't necessarily like it when Moira is meta. Now, why is that the case? The problem is Moira's skill to reward ratio is awkward. Like, she's doing very little and she's getting a lot out of it. Even right now on the screen, you will see that I do just the most bare minimum of things. I'm barely like adjusting my aim. I'm barely like essentially anything I do, it doesn't necessarily require any skill. I guess you could say that I just have to be careful with my positioning. I do get caught here and there sometimes, but other than that, everything else from Moira is easy. Healing is an AoE spray that also has a slight lingering effect that a lot of people don't know about. Her damage is very strong in this current state of the game. Like, if you're following up on your teammates, like, and the range, my goodness, like, I feel like we don't talk about it enough. The range of her biotic grasp is so long that you can be behind all of your teammates, and as they're approaching a target, you're behind 5 people using them as like your meat shield, and you're sucking somebody off across the map and killing them, and that other player can just never interact with you. So, with all that being said, these are definitely the strengths of Moira. So I would actually argue in the current state of the game, she doesn't necessarily have many weaknesses other than the fact that she cannot take longer fights. If the fights go on for longer and longer, she's going to lose her resources, which will make her a little bit more difficult to play. So usually you want to win a fight as quickly as possible when you have a Moira on your team. You should be playing, you know, dive-ish characters with her, or if you have a Lucio and like a Brawl tank, then you should be running it down mid as quickly as possible and deleting everything in front of you. I'm trying to simplify all of this with respect to the metal ranks because I can't explain everything from higher levels of play. Now, with that aside, what is the solution to solving the Moira problem? There's one thing I also want to bring attention to is the fact that in Coalescence, it feels nearly impossible to kill Moira because of the 250 HP increase and how much HP she gets when she is hitting targets with her Coalescence beam. And if she's not taking any damage, that she ends up triggering the support passive, Moira becomes so unbelievably tanky that it is a nightmare trying to kill her. Pair that with the fact that she can still use her Fade, she's pretty strong right now. Like, I'm just like, I've made a massive list for the past 7 minutes. I've been telling you guys why Moira is really strong right now, right? They've done a good job of kind of toning down Zen. Now, I have a video coming up about Zen's Discord orb, which is going to be a very controversial video. And I'll give you guys a teaser. I genuinely believe Discord orb just cannot work in a 5v5 state, and Zenyatta might genuinely need a rework. That's the teaser. You know, say what you want to say about it in the comments. Let's discuss it. You know, it's just ideas. Because I just think Discord orb is just not balanceable, but I might have some ideas for it. We will talk about that in the Zenyatta video in the future. For now, let's talk about Moira. Okay, so now, what can be done to help Moira's current state? I actually don't mind if Moira is strong, but I definitely think she shouldn't be that good at what she is able to do right now. Characters that require a lot more skill and like, how do I say this? Characters that require a lot more skill to get any form of value are struggling much more than her. Ana is in a really bad spot right now. Iliari, like, granted that, you know, she has a pylon and her healing is really easy to do, she's still a character that in order to pop off, she actually needs to hit her shots, and Iliari is in a terrible spot, right? Baptiste is a bit questionable. You know, Bap is a little bit questionable with the state that he's in, but given the state of the meta, he is kind of bad as well. Pretty much, there's basically, like, more often than not, Moira really is the best, like, main healing support to kind of pick, or even just complement another main healing support or an off healing support, simply because she's so survivable. She's tanky in Coalescence. Coalescence is almost always a teamfight win. So what would I do to nerf Moira? Okay, first of all, I genuinely believe Moira's auto lock-on beam does not need the projectile size increase. That's the #1 thing that needs to get toned back. Now, if they want to keep the projectile size or the beam size increase for Moira's beam, then I'm okay with that. I'm willing to keep that, but nerf her damage back by a little bit. I think she should lose either 5 damage points, or the damage points should be reverted by to their original value that it was before. I think it's a little bit absurd that Moira can do so much damage with very minimum input coming from the player, and against, like, when you, like, trust me, like, when I've been dueling these other Anas, Babs, Briggs, Iliaris, Kirikos, Lifeweavers, like, they're just like headless chicken that just run around in circles because they're just like missing their shots. They're unable to do anything to you, and you're just casually just destroying everybody in front of you, right? And oh my god, you know, before the Moira versus Genji matchup could have actually been attributed to a skill matchup, now Moira just dominates a Genji. it's so hard for a Genji player to actually outduel her. And that's just because of the fact that her damage is kind of overtuned, I would argue, right? I think Moira's healing is fine. I would like to, in compensation, increase the way the resource meter works, because I do think Moira is a character that, well, I think definitely the resource meter, and considering the DPS passive and the way that the game is flowing now, we could allow her resource meter to charge up faster and encourage her to focus a little bit more on keeping her team up. I'm completely fine if they want to keep Coalescence strong as well. However, I do believe that we are in a current stage of the game where I don't think Moira needs the Fade being active when she is coalescing. I think she's extremely tanky in Coalescence, especially with the 250 HP. She doesn't need the Fade in the Coalescence anymore, and it removes room for counterplay. So we do kind of have to be fair. Like every time I've done a video on a support, I've been fair on redistributing power and things like that. And I think it's okay for Moira to have a little bit more power in the healing and tone down the way her beam works. Now, alternatively, if we don't want to nerf her damage, if we don't want to nerf the beam acquisition radius, here's what I think. In that regard, then I believe that what needs to be done is Moira's beam length needs to be reduced. So she can still have the decently high damage. She can still have a strong, like combo with the damage orb, like especially when she's 1v1ing a character. I mean, seriously guys, if you don't believe me, go enter a deathmatch game and just 1v1 someone and just watch their HP disappear. Do the most basic strafe and ducks and you will just win almost any duel. It is really hard to lose a duel on Moira, and if you are consistently losing duels on Moira, then wow, what are you doing? Anyways, jokes aside, so that's why I think that Moira needs a nerf. Now, I don't know exactly how to nerf her, because this is one of those things where we're adapting to a completely new concept in the game with the DPS passive. I am very interested to see what Blizzard is going to do with the upcoming mid-season patch notes, but I do think that Moira needs to be toned down just a little bit. I like her as a character. I enjoy playing her when I want to turn my brain off, but there should never be a state where she's outperforming higher skill support, like characters that definitely require a lot more skill than her, to a completely different degree. All right, much love and respect to the character and the people that play her. Do your thing. I've actually enjoyed having Moira on my team this season, but I do kind of think that it's a little bit sucky that like there is like very small room for error currently. Like, she has the high damage, she has the high healing, she has a great ultimate, like literally team fight winning ultimate, great survivability. Pair that with the support passive that also like complements her lifesteal from her, her beam. There's a lot that she has going for her that I genuinely think we're not, like, now that Moira is kind of in the meta, that we should like respect, and just like everybody has their time to shine. For now, this video is about Moira. I do think that yes, Moira does need just a little bit of a nerf. It doesn't have to be heavy-handed. It just needs to be a small slap on the wrist. She can still be strong, and she will be strong just because of the way that the game is evolving with the DPS passive. However, I do think that some stuff needs to be toned down. Now, I want to hear how you would nerf or redistribute power for Moira in order for her to feel just a little bit more fair in the current game state. I'm fine with her being survivable. I'm fine with her having high healing. I definitely think the way her like beam, the way it's just so easy to use and apply that much high damage, I think that's just a little bit silly. I think that needs to get toned down. That's just my opinion. I want to hear your opinion down in the comment sections below. Now, with that being said, I will see you guys in tomorrow's video where, well, surprise, continuing the trend of Moira on this channel and the fact that she's the poster girl for this season, we will have the best Moira guide coming to your YouTube subscription list tomorrow. See you then.